Imagine this. At 4 a.m., a red crack splits the Nevada sky, and out steps the first Demogorgon. By dawn, satellites detect thousands more across the nation. Within hours, America isn't fighting, it's surviving. So here's the question. If 1 million Demogorgons invaded the USA, which parts of the country would actually survive? From frozen Alaskan outposts to the depths of the Rockies, let's find out who could outlast the monsters from the upside down. Before we choose our survivors, we need to understand what we're up against. From Stranger Things, we know Demogorgons aren't mindless zombies. They're lethal, coordinated predators, hunting silently, tracking by scent, and tearing through prey with speed and ferocity. Their hide is nearly bulletproof. Standard assault rifles barely slow them down. They thrive in dark, humid, and warm environments, and hunt most efficiently in packs. They don't speak, they don't negotiate, and worst of all, they don't rest. So with that knowledge in mind, let's see which parts of the United States might stand a fighting chance in a full-scale Demogorgon invasion. The first to fall would be the big cities, and quickly. In places like New York, Los Angeles, and Chicago, humans wouldn't even make it through day one. The sheer noise, lights, and motion would draw the creatures like sharks to blood. Underground tunnels, subways, and sewers would become hunting corridors. New York, for all its skyscrapers and concrete canyons, would be defenseless. Imagine thousands of Demogorgons erupting through the metro system, sweeping through Manhattan. There's nowhere to run, no open spaces, and no way to coordinate mass evacuation. In Los Angeles, the problem is size. The city sprawl means escape routes jammed with millions of vehicles, while rifts near Griffith Park or the Santa Monica Mountains would spill monsters right into civilization. The heat might slow them slightly, but only slightly. Within 48 hours, every major coastal city would be gone. The government would lose contact with most metro areas by the end of the first week. The fall of Washington, D.C. would come with chilling symbolism. A Demogorgon claw raking across the Lincoln Memorial steps. Those who survive the first week will flee, heading inland. But America's heartland would become both refuge and nightmare. Suburbs and small towns in Ohio, Indiana, and Pennsylvania would be stripped of power as the national grid collapses. Without electricity, lights go out. And when darkness falls, the Demogorgons hunt freely. Some towns would fortify schools or churches, turning them into makeshift sanctuaries. But they'd soon learn the predators don't tire. The survivors would. By the end of month one, nearly half of the US population would be wiped out. But the story isn't over, because beyond the chaos, there are places geography itself might protect. The Great Plains, spanning Kansas, Nebraska, and the Dakotas, might be humanity's first defensive wall. Here, the terrain is open, flat, and endlessly visible. There's nowhere for a Demogorgon to hide in golden grass under a wide horizon. Thermal scopes and drones would make early detection possible. Farmers and rural communities, armed and insulated, could carve out fortified compounds surrounded by open fields, giving them a rare advantage: line of sight. The real savior, though, is winter. Sub-zero winds sweeping across the prairies would slow the creatures dramatically. If their biology mirrors what we know, dependent on warmth and darkness, the plains become a killing ground not for humans, but for them. Small bands of survivors might travel between farmhouses, sharing radio contact and supplies. These isolated strongholds could form the backbone of what's left of organized resistance. But survival here would depend on mobility. Once night falls or temperatures rise again, the advantage flips back to the invaders. Then there's the American South. Humid, thick with forests and swamps, where daylight fades fast and night insects drown out silence. For Demogorgons, this is paradise. In Florida, the Everglades and wet heat offer perfect camouflage. Once the rifts open in Miami and Tampa, it becomes impossible to know where they're coming from. Dense vegetation, no visibility, and thousands of waterways mean their hunts could last indefinitely. Florida vanishes within days. Louisiana's bayous fall next, crawling with movement in the fog. The humidity nullifies fire, one of humanity's few working deterrents. But one state doesn't go quietly: Texas. Rural communities, military stockpiles, and a culture that knows how to survive under pressure give parts of Texas a glimmer of hope. Oil fields could be repurposed into torch lines, highways blocked with flaming barricades to funnel creatures into pre-sited kill zones. Small towns like Midland or Amarillo could turn into fortress settlements. Still, with each passing night, ammunition runs low, and the monsters adapt. Texas would burn bright, but it would burn out.
In body, in mind.
Further west, humanity's best chance lies in the Rocky Mountains. From Colorado to Montana, the terrain begins to fight back. Narrow mountain passes, thin oxygen, and freezing nights would isolate any invading swarm. Those who know the land, hikers, rangers, winter survivalists, would become the new tacticians. In Colorado, mountain communities could seal themselves inside ski lodges or high-altitude cabins. Fortifications could be made permanent by avalanches triggered to bury narrow roads. Demogorgons can climb, but they can't tunnel through stone or survive hypothermia indefinitely. Idaho and Wyoming would host similar refugees. Hidden lodges deep within the snow would run on wood and generator power. The cold not only slows the creatures, it preserves food, keeps communities self-sufficient, and gives them what they need most: time. If any organized government re-emerged, it would likely be from here, the Mountain Confederation, built from patches of surviving National Guard units, scientists, and civilians. But the same can't be said for the Pacific Northwest. Dense forests, endless rain, and low light. Everything the creatures love. Oregon and Washington would turn into America's new hunting grounds. Demogorgons could move invisibly through the redwoods and Douglas firs, ambushing any survivors who venture outside. Seattle, with its ports and tunnels, would collapse fast. Coastal rifts might even allow more creatures to emerge directly from the fog over Puget Sound. If the Upside Down were ever to overtake America physically, this is where it would start: a spreading infestation blanketing forests with spores, vines, and decay. Then we look north, to Alaska. Rugged, cold, and isolated, Alaska becomes Earth's firewall. The extreme cold freezes the Demogorgons' biology, shutting down their movement. The 18-hour nights are dangerous, but the minus 30 degrees Celsius winters even deadlier for the invaders. Small communities already adapted to harsh survival, hunters, trappers, and oil workers, would thrive. Supply drops could reach them from military bases further out, and isolated islands along the southern coast would become perfect fortresses. Alaska would become humanity's final stronghold, where survivors could rebuild, experiment, and maybe one day take back the mainland. It's poetic in a way, civilization ending in fire and chaos, but surviving in the frozen silence. 3 months later, most of the continental U.S. is gone. The East Coast drowned in shadow, the South crawling with movement, and the West partitioned between peaks and forests of death. Radio transmissions still whisper across the static. Homemade signals from burned-out towns or self-proclaimed militias calling themselves the Anchorage Network, promising safety for those who can make it north. The Demogorgon invasion hasn't just wiped out cities. It's erased borders. America has become fractured into pockets of firelight across an endless dark canvas. So who would survive the 1 million Demogorgon invasion? Not the wealthy, not the military. Survivors would come from those who know how to disappear: hunters, mountaineers, trappers, the resourceful people who already live on the edge of civilization. And maybe that's the greatest irony, that when humanity faces monsters born of darkness, it's the people who've always lived with danger who end up writing the next chapter. Because what's left of America would no longer belong to the brave, but to the cold, the quiet, and the unseen. Did you like this video? Well, you are going to love these next selections. Click away and keep watching.